Hey guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We are here at Kinnick Stadium bringing you our 2019 Iowa football predictions. And last year, Iowa went 8-4 in the regular season before upsetting Mississippi State in their bowl game to finish the year 9-4. Kirk Ferentz enters his 21st year here in Iowa City, and expectations are very high for the Hawkeyes, especially in a wide-open Big Ten West. They return one of the most experienced quarterbacks in all of the Big Ten in Nathan Stanley, who threw for over 2,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions in 2018. Unfortunately for him, though, he loses his top three receivers, including TJ Hockenson, Noah Fant, and Nick Easley. So he's going to have to deal with a somewhat brand new crew of wide receivers, especially after losing his top two tight ends, both first-round NFL draft picks. The defense, though, only returns 4 starters from a unit that allowed just a little under 18 points per game last year, but will be led by AJ Epenesa, one of the best defensive players in all of college football. So this defense, usually strong under Kirk Ferentz, shouldn't see that much of a drop-off, even though they only return 4 starters. They opened 2019, I think, with a win over Miami, Ohio. Right here in Kinnick Stadium, shouldn't be any issues, should be able to be a good test for this defense to work out any issues they have, and also for Stanley to get some chemistry going with his new wide receivers. Then they opened Big Ten play with Rutgers, also here in Iowa City. And Rutgers, if you watched our preview for them, you know that I expect them to be a lot more improved in 2019. Just maybe not improved enough to see that win total go up from 1-11 last year. We have them going just 2-10. The Scarlet Knights do return their quarterback Artur Sitkowski, do return their running back Ibrahim Blackshear, and their defense should improve as well, but it's not going to be enough to come on to here at Kinnick Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in all of the Big Ten. Iowa opens up 1-0 in conference play with a win over the Scarlet Knights. They then go on the road to face off against Iowa State, a team that Iowa has beaten 4 straight times. They have won the past 4 meetings against the Cyclones, including a 44-41 overtime victory the last time they visited the Cyclones. This year, that 4-game winning streak will end for the Hawkeyes. The Cyclones are slowly building themselves up under Matt Campbell. He's done a phenomenal job during his time at Ames. He brings back Brock Purdy, who was phenomenal last year as a freshman. And yes, they do lose David Montgomery. Yes, they do lose Hakeem Butler. But they just continue to reload on every single position. 16 total stars returning. Ames, like Kinnick Stadium, a very difficult place to play. Iowa falls to their rival in the Cyclones. They are 2-1. They get a bye week just in week 4, coming back home to face off against Middle Tennessee. We had that pegged down as an automatic win as well. So they are 3-1. And then they're hitting the bolt of Big Ten play. They go on the road to face off against Michigan. And if you've watched our Michigan predictions, you know that we are very high on the Wolverines this season. A team that could very well make the college football playoff and probably might have the best team under Jim Harbaugh yet. They have one of the best offenses that Harbaugh's ever had, and even though they lose a lot on the defensive side of the ball, I think they will be just fine. Kind of like Iowa State and Iowa do, they just continue to reload and rebuild on that side of the ball. This game being played at the Big House on the road, one of the more difficult places to play in the entire nation. I do not think that they have enough to go on the road and beat the Wolverines, who I think could very well win the entire Big Ten in 2019. Iowa drops a game to the Wolverines for their first Big Ten Conference loss. And if you look at this game, the month of October is probably the biggest month for Iowa. It will determine if they will be a team that will be considered great or a team that will be considered mediocre. Road games at Michigan and Northwestern, a team that won the West last year. And then home games against Penn State and Purdue, very difficult. That 4-game stretch will really determine how Iowa does in 2019. Luckily, they get to host Penn State in 2019. If you remember 2 years ago, Penn State, right here at Kinnick Stadium, scored a game-winning touchdown as time expired to beat the Hawkeyes 21-19. It was a heartbreaking loss for all of Iowa. But this year, Penn State loses quite a bit of people. We know they lose Trace McSorley. We know they lose Miles Sanders. We know they lost some guys to the transfer portal. And while I have a lot of faith in Sean Clifford, and while I have a lot of faith in James Franklin to continue to build this Nittany Lions program up, they don't have enough to come on the road this year and beat the Hawkeyes. Iowa gets a win, a bounce-back win with a victory over Penn State. Probably a little revenge game, too, after that crushing loss to them 2 years ago. They remain home to face off against Purdue, and I like how that's sandwiched. They got a road game, 2 home games, and then another road game. They don't have back-to-back road games here. Facing off against Purdue, last year the Hawkeyes fell 38-36 to the Boilermakers. It was an absolutely thrilling game. This year Purdue, though, only returns 9 starters on defense and 3 starters on offense. This Iowa defense cracks down, shuts down Rondale Moore, the most explosive player on Purdue, maybe one of the most explosive players in the nation. They take him away, they take away Purdue's offense, and I think they do just that. Iowa gets another win, their back-to-back wins in Big Ten play with a win over Purdue. They go on the road to face off against Northwestern, and as you heard me say, last year Northwestern won the Big Ten West, went 8-1 in conference play, including a win here at Kinnick Stadium, 14-10 over the Hawkeyes. This year, Northwestern, I do not think will be as good as they were last year. They started off the season 1-3, ended up finishing with 9 wins. This year, it will be another slow start for them, but they do bring in Hunter Johnson at quarterback, the transfer from Clemson. And I think that's going to be enough to give the Wildcats a boost over Iowa, a team that, like I said, only returns 4 starters defensively, maybe could struggle a little bit over some elite quarterbacks. I think Hunter Johnson will get there. This game on the road, having already lost last year to the Wildcats, I think they'll drop another one this time on the road, and they fall to Northwestern. But they go 2-2 in October, 2-2 in that key 4-game stretch, which is not bad at all. They get a much-needed bye week entering the month of November, of course, one of the biggest months of all of college football. They go on the road to face off against Wisconsin, a rivalry game here. The Badgers, kind of like Iowa, had a down year last year, but under some standards, were expected to be a national title contender, a playoff contender. Started off at number 4, fell to 8-5 on the season. But this year they returned Jonathan Taylor, the junior running back, a Heisman candidate for the Badgers, rushed for over 2,100 yards in 2018. Even though Iowa's coming off a week of rest, I don't think they have enough to go on the road and beat the Badgers, a team that I think will improve defensively, will continue to thrive behind Jonathan Taylor and an experienced offensive line, and whoever their quarterback is, whether it's Graham Mertz or Jack Cohn, will be really in his groove by November 9th. They fall to Wisconsin. If this game was at Kinnick, I'd be picking the Hawkeyes. But everything that I just said, plus it being on the road, I think they fall to the Badgers, a loss to their rival in Wisconsin. Their final 3 games are all winnable, luckily for them, and 2 of them are at home. Minnesota, Illinois, at Nebraska. The game against Minnesota is one where I think a lot of people think Minnesota could come on the road and beat the Hawkeyes, a team that many think could be a sleeper in the Big Ten West. And I don't really think that's going to be the case in 2019. I have a lot of faith in PJ Fleck. I think he's building up the Golden Gophers program, but this is not the year. They're still very young. 2020 will be the year for the Golden Gophers. Iowa beats Minnesota. It'll be close for about a half, maybe 3/4. Iowa pulls away late. I think wins this game by 2 possessions, beats Minnesota here. And the same thing can be said for Illinois, a team that kind of like Minnesota is building themselves up. Lovie Smith doing a phenomenal job utilizing the transfer portal, and I think will be much more competitive in 2019 than they have in years past. I mean, last year, Iowa went on the road and beat Illinois 63-0 on the Fighting Illini Senior Day. That won't be the case this year, but they will take easy care of Illinois in 2019. Much more competitive, but not necessarily as close. They get a win over the Fighting Illini, closing out the season with a road game at Nebraska, a big-time rivalry game as well. The Cornhuskers, I think, are the favorite to win the West. We said the West is wide open, and there's no doubt about that. But there's got to be a favorite, always is, and Nebraska is that favorite in 2019. Scott Frost went 4-8 in his first year, but brings back one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten in Adrian Martinez, just a sophomore, I should add. Brings back a more experienced defense in 2019. Nebraska nearly beat Iowa last year in the season finale. You saw how different that Nebraska team looked after that 0-6 start. This time it is on the road. This time Nebraska is hungry. This Nebraska team is legit, and the Cornhuskers will beat the Hawkeyes at home to give Iowa a 7-5 record on the year in 2019. And I know for some Hawkeyes faithful, I know for a lot of fans, that would be a disappointing season, especially with a more experienced quarterback, and especially with, I know I only said 4 starters, but a decent defense. But this schedule is very similar to the schedule that Iowa had back in 2017. And that year, the Hawkeyes also went 7-5 and then won their bowl game over Boston College to finish the year 8-5. All these teams that we have playing on the road, all these Western teams, they played on the road in 2017. They played them again on the road in 2019. So I think 7-5 is very realistic for the Hawkeyes. Maybe they pull off an upset. Maybe they go on the road and beat Northwestern. Maybe they can pull off an upset win over Iowa State. But right now, I think 7-5 is the most realistic for the Hawkeyes. But once again, a job well done by Kirk Ferentz in year 21 here in Iowa City. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert, as well as our good friend at All CFB, All College Football, on Twitter and Instagram as well. Make sure to go check out our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will get every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So go join our team, sign up today, only at thegridironexpert.com. And guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.